Joining me today is New England College professor of political science, Dr. Wayne Lesperance, and we're here talking about the Republican convention. Wayne, we were talking a little bit in the previous segment about dissenters, and you mentioned Lindsey Graham, who is no big fan of Donald Trump,
right.
And I think I had a chance to cover him, talk with him when he was running in the primary, and it's pretty clear to me that I think it's reasonable he sort of sees Trump as long-term hurting the party.
Sure.
And I think there's some other people, and I know there's a senator from Arizona, not McCain, but the other one that's just said, no, I'm not going to, I'm going to campaign in my state.
Right, Jeff Flake.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the tensions in the Republican Party that are beneath the surface of this convention, and do they mean anything, or is this just a tempest in a teapot?
It's hard to see how much they mean. I mean, from a strategic point of view, if you're running for president, you really rely on folks at the local level to do the most important thing in any election, which is get out the vote. So you tap into those political elected officials who have networks, who have the ability to really to reach out to folks and motivate them. You're missing that in a lot of places. You have a lot of Republicans who are not willing to carry Trump's water.
But Trump has never, I don't think, really tapped into that. He's never had I may be wrong. My suspicion is he really hasn't had that depth of organization to be able to run a get out the vote campaign,
right?
In a traditional sense.
So everything that we do with Trump is we evaluate him in traditional terms. How has it been done before? And what we've learned through the primary process is we have to throw that out the window. But there are some very real metrics out there. How much money are you able to raise, which allows you to take your message forward? What kind of a staff do you have? Who are you hiring? How many? Hillary Clinton has quantitative advantages in every possible category, and they're not small. She's outraising him by a lot of money, has a lot more money on hand. She has the organization. She has just staff. I mean, hundreds more staff than Trump does. He's trying to ramp up. But up until about 2 weeks ago, for example, there was nobody in New Hampshire. The office was largely empty and shuttered. Now they've got a guy, right? And they're trying to ramp that piece up. Trump's argument would be that I'm not running a traditional campaign. I'm going to do it via Twitter. I'm going to just basically get a lot of free media, and I'm going to go that way. I don't think that works. I think running for office is actually a very sophisticated political operation that requires people with very specific skill sets. He's not hiring those folks, or they won't go to work for him. And when he does hire folks, John, the other problem he has is they don't stay around very long. Trump lacks discipline. Trump is his own sort of from the hip kind of guy. That works for him. And so if you're trying to advise a candidate like that, it becomes a really difficult job to do. So he's got staffing troubles. The fact that you've got prominent Republicans like John McCain and Lindsey Graham, people that have the networks, that have the ability to really help carry the potential president's water, saying no, we don't want anything to do with this, is significant. I don't know that we've seen this before, at least not in modern presidential elections. So it's got to communicate something to potential voters. If there's the extent that there are swing voters out there, they've got to look at that and say, gosh, his own party won't rally around him. I mean, what does that mean for us? And I think Lindsey Graham would say what you just said, that Trump is actually damaging to the Republican Party. The thing about building walls, the thing about, not banning Muslims, those kinds of statements, which are more emotional than thoughtful, I would say, don't do anything to bring new people to the party. These guys were Reagan Republicans. They bought the Reagan argument that to be successful, you have to be a national party. You have to be able to appeal to a lot of different kinds of people. They see Trump as narrowing the focus. So,
and I'll go back to something you said earlier, that one of the places where Trump is beating Clinton is on jobs.
Right.
But we haven't really talked much about his position on jobs.
Right.
It's all about these other components, the wall,
right.
Terrorism and banning Muslims, which I can imagine. I'm not a Supreme Court critic, but I can't imagine that's going to ever be upheld. A religious test to enter in the country.
How would he ever get that implemented? Well, you tell me that you can get Congress, again, where the Republicans would be important to him, to actually pass something that would create a religious test of whether people could enter or not. I don't see it happening. But that doesn't stop Trump from throwing it out there anyway. I mean, the larger issue here is not, can he get elected? Let's say he gets elected. How does he govern? How does he govern in a way that in any way resembles what he has said as a candidate? It just isn't something that we can see happening. I don't see happening.
Well, we'll wait and find out soon. And when we return, we're going to also find out what remains to be seen. We're going to ask for some predictions, so please stay with us.